So when a branch grows out, you can, where the Y splits off, you can cut that piece off and make a bow out of that. So you don't have to find a tree limb that's perfectly bent. Normally what I do is I look for where limbs split off and cut the Y off. So this is something that would be good for a Egyptian bow drill. Another type of bow drill is one that is tensioned. The line is tensioned and tight. So I construct it the same way. So I have a knot up here and I have a short little 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch cut with my saw. If you have a saw, you can cut that in perfectly. And then I measure out where the knot needs to go. And then I bring that down to the end and lock it into place. So I'm using a knot that would be easy to untie. So I just made a little slip knot. Now, this is one that you would see in most literature with a flexible bow. The Egyptian bow drill, the Prusik knot bow drill, don't require the bow to be flexible, so it doesn't have to be green. That's an advantage of those. So what I'm going to have to do is push down. I'm going to come from the outside in this direction, from left to right, come under the cordage and lock it down. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a little bit of weight on the bow itself so that it makes tensioning that easier. And that's the reason this needs to be green wood. Now you can leave a little bit of slack, but sometimes that's hard to judge. Normally, I keep it all the way tensioned. Get this out of the way. Coming from the outside in, and I use a really green piece of wood, and I use the spindle to kind of lock down the spindle. Now, this is spring loaded now. If you let go of that, it's going to fling the spindle. So you got to be careful, because it can come up and hit you in the eye. A lot of times what I'll do is lock it down like this if I'm doing other things, so that it doesn't suddenly release and come up and hit me. Alright, so let me get in position. So this is a disadvantage in that it's not as mobile. Could get injured by the actual bow drill because of all that tension. And it's another disadvantage is it puts a lot of wear and tear on your cordage. So really hard to use natural cordage with this. But you won't get the binding that you would get with an Egyptian bow drill or a Prusik knot bow drill. So that's an advantage. But it will ride up the spindle. So that's a tensioned bow drill, but it's tensioned by the bow itself. You're not wrapping it around your hand and pulling the tension like you have to do sometimes with natural cordage. You're actually using a flexible bow to tension this. You almost want full tension when you start, and you need a bow that is not only green, but thin enough to bend. Because if it's too thick, like this one's green, it'd be very difficult to bend this because of the thickness.